This is actually a bit of an older video, but I wanted to add some things in and update it, and I thought it fit better on this channel, JayRPG, rather than my other channel, Degenerate Jay. Now, all my channels will be in the description, and if you want to help support this video and this channel, you can use our Fortnite code DJAY123, or stick around to the end of the video to see some other things, but we wanted to talk today about Fallout 5, or essentially the next mainline Fallout, and some things that we really think need to change, some things we think need to be addressed for this game to actually be memorable and not just be something that kind of gets pushed aside and forgotten. Especially considering Bethesda's track record in recent years with releasing some outdated stuff and not really impressing that many people with Starfield. So I've only talked about Fallout on this channel, I believe, a few times. We did a couple of live streams, but today I wanted to take a look ahead at the future of the franchise, the potential future. This is not a top 5. This is just Alex from Podcast Now here with me, and that was a weird way to phrase that, I'm sorry, trying to really figure out where Fallout is going as a brand, looking at where it's been, and just some things that it really needs to improve from the last few titles, not just 76. We have some stuff that we will say about 76, but the criticism of the brand doesn't lie completely there. So anyways, Alex, thank you for being here with me today. I know this is a bit of a different one for us, but it's the kind of thing that you have a lot of on your channel.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And it's definitely different, but I love talking about these franchises, and I think there's a lot Fallout honestly can learn, from the past games going forward.
Yeah, and speaking of that, so the last past game that they did have was 76, and I don't want to endorse the meme here, like says he won't talk crap about 76 and then immediately does, but that's the first place we can look to for faults. I'm not saying that you can't ever have any kind of multiplayer experience or whatever, but I do think that actually sort of hurt Fallout a little bit, because the big dynamic that people loved was that you had all these NPCs and all this stuff that you were interacting with. It wasn't just terminals, and it wasn't just other players. There weren't even other players, back Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas. By introducing that element, which I think was really a wild card, I think they forgot to focus on the heart of what drew people in, which was like wacky characters, fun side quests, crazy weapons that weren't just recycled from the previous game. These are the kind of things that I don't think they can do again moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, well, let me first start off by saying Fallout 76 Game of the Year. And just kidding. I mean, in all reality, yeah, I mean, look, the writing was on the wall, in my opinion, for 76. I bought it simply to watch it burn, and it did, kind of spectacularly the first day, or the first week, first couple months. It's had a renaissance story, which is definitely good. And you're right, I should maybe say this for people that are Fallout diehards and this is the first time they've heard me. I love New Vegas. It's one of my favorite games ever. It's my favorite Fallout game ever. I love 3. I'm not the biggest fan. Like, people look to 3 as the best game. I look to New Vegas as the best game. 4 I really didn't like at all. And then 76, I was like, all right, I'll give it one more shot. And then 76 happened. It's like, all right, well, I know where I stand now. So they've had some problems. But yeah, you're right. There's nothing wrong with the idea of it, because the idea of Fallout, it can be elevated by having other people there with you, because it can be a very, isolated kind of place, which kind of plays into the game itself, right? And again, the quests and the very, scarce characters you actually do find, it plays into that. And they just kind of forgot that. They added the characters, they wanted to add those kind of elements, and they were there. They were buggy, as all heck, right? And I think it flat out didn't work. But they had it, and it was an interesting element, but they didn't do anything else. There was nothing to do there, and what there was, and that's important too. I mean, obviously there wasn't nothing to do, right? There was clearly things to do in this game, but there was just I didn't feel anything. You know what I mean? Like, I played the game and I'm like, I don't want to explore. I don't want to go on these quests. I don't care about literally anything that's going on. And then the bugs didn't help. But even that first part is something that they have to obviously improve going forward.
Yeah, the thing with 76 is it's fairly directionless. It has been improved. They've added in the Brotherhood of Steel. They've added in a lot of NPCs now, like you said, a renaissance for it. It's gotten a lot better. It is not perfect. We mostly have the same opinions, although I really do like Fallout 4 a lot. Part of it could be that I played it on PC. It runs a lot better. There's a lot more content. Obviously, there's mods and stuff. That's the thing with Fallout, is I really think, not to knock console, but it's a fault and a benefit for this series, is Fallout really seems like it was designed for PC. almost entirely. Because it seems like Bethesda relies on mod makers to fix stuff, patches, add things in, fix the graphics, all this stuff, and it's a positive and a negative. I think it can be kind of lazy, but because of that, I think console experiences have suffered, especially the last couple. 4 really did. Like, the performance of 4 on console really needed work, and then on top of that, it's an old engine. There's a lot of issues that they're having, I think, too. And speaking of that, I really think it would be a good thing to get a new engine, you know?
Yeah.
They've been operating off of basically versions of the Oblivion engine forever.
Right. Now, we do know they are doing a new engine for Elder Scrolls 6, so that is going to premiere. And I Starfield, I honestly don't remember, but I know for a fact with Elder Scrolls that is going to be in their brand new thing. And yeah, you're right. I mean, that gives me like hope. That gives me confidence because, you know, with Fallout 4, I think it's just kind of circumstance that led me to not like it that much. Like, I liked 3. I love New Vegas. I had just played The Witcher 3. And I'm not the biggest open world guy, you know, in the planet. I like to finish games, but I have a really hard time with that. So when you have a game that's yours, I just get really, like, it just becomes tense and I can't do it. And so I did Witcher 3. I played some of it and I adored it. And then to go from Witcher, which, you know, we just talked about in the other video, like a livable open world, when you go from The Witcher 3 to Fallout 4, Fallout 4 is supposed to be, you know, Fallout in general is supposed to kind of be empty, but it was just such a big change for me in the moment that I was like, no. And then, like you said, it feels old. A lot of the stuff just feels very outdated. Luckily, when we talk about, you know, what the future games can fix, that's an easy one. You know what I mean? If you just update things, so you have a brand new engine, which they will. So the Elder Scrolls 6 would be, you know, that'll be the new benchmark. And now the problem will be, how long do they keep that engine around, right? And by the time they get to a Fallout game, you know, is it going to be outdated? I don't think it will, not for quite some time. But I think that fixes a lot, just to kind of breathe some new life into it, because that is a big problem. When you play a game and it's immediately started with bugs and it just looks old, the mechanics feel old, nothing really feels fresh and new. And then you have a game that's kind of about isolation, being alone. It's like, I really don't care. I kind of don't want to be in this game whatsoever. You know what I mean? So it's a bad, same thing with the 76, honestly. Like, when you have a game that feels old, it's trying something new, but it doesn't do a good job, at least at launch. It has everything else that still feels like 20 years old at the time, and then it's just not a good game, and it feels kind of empty. It's like, yeah, those things are not good pairs for each other.
It's one of those things where it's like, I know you like old games too. I know a lot of times you don't have time to play older games because your channel especially is focused on games that are happening now. I constantly go back to old games, and the difference is, you know, in your head, you know, like, if I play Mega Man Legends on the PS1, I know it's a PS1 game. I can give it the benefit of the doubt. But when I'm playing a game that comes out in, say, 2020 and it feels like it came out in 2015, that's odd.
Yeah.
That doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. It just didn't come out then. There's concessions you can make. I never care if Fallout is the best looking thing ever. It never has been. Probably never will be. I don't care. It's the same with the Elder Scrolls. It's never been the most, how would you say it? Like, cutting edge graphics or anything like that. That's fine. But if the mechanics themselves feel dated, I think that's something they really need to learn to avoid. I did have another thing to bring up with you, Alex, actually. It's the biggest annoyance to me, actually, of the last probably almost decade of Fallout, ever since New Vegas ended, and they picked it back up, is narrative. I think the narrative in these games has suffered a lot. It's a problem that New Vegas, and it's my favorite video game of all time. Fallout New Vegas is my favorite video game of all time. If I could only play one game ever again, it would be that. It's a problem that New Vegas, Obsidian comes in and they create a story where the main story is always happening in the background. It is alluded to, it's brought up, side quests tie into it, tensions are building, it's about the battle for Hoover Dam and who will control Vegas and all this stuff. It's always happening. The main story in Fallout 4 doesn't feel like it has a lot of impact on the world, and it can. You can side with the Minutemen or the Brotherhood or whatever, and it does change some. But it never feels like this massive looming thing or a threat or like something that's always happening. And so many of the side quests have absolutely nothing to do with the main narrative. It's kind of the same way in 76. Now that they added in all these NPCs, there is a story, but the story doesn't feel that important. And I don't know how to explain it other than the stories of the last few entries have felt trivial compared to previous games like Fallout 3 and New Vegas especially. They were like top tier. I would call Fallout New Vegas' story like literature. It was phenomenal. What happened, you know?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think, that's the thing that I look at when I look at games. It's like, how does the side stuff tie in? Does it? Do they have implications to the main stuff? All that kind of thing. And again, we just talked about that with Gotham Knights, and that to me, for open world games, it almost makes or breaks the game. I guess maybe not necessarily some games, like even Ghost of Tsushima, which is a more recent one. The side stuff isn't the greatest in the world, especially like the side activities, but the side quests, or I would say that this like narratives that can kind of span several missions, they're like pretty darn strong overall, but they don't. Some of them have some ties into the main stuff, some don't. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's make or break, but it's very important. It's very important to me, and I always get excited when games do it. Like you said with a New Vegas, when you're always feeling like the main thing is always happening, and when side things are referencing it, and the world feels like it's doing things that's tying into it. I love it. And I agree. See, when I played Fallout 4, I played Fallout 3 like a little at the time, and I'd watch my friends play it a lot, and I had played New Vegas, and that's really it. So when I played 4, I thought like maybe I'm just not used to Fallout, like maybe they're doing something that they've always done that I wasn't really into. But again, like going from Witcher to Fallout, and I'm going through the world, and it's like everybody feels very distant, and like the first group you meet, it doesn't really feel like anybody has anything to do with each other, and nothing really is tying in. And you hear that, it gets better after 10, 15, 20 hours, whatever. I hate it when people say that, right? Like, why do I need to play a game for 40 hours before it starts getting good? You make a world, you make the world feel like it's always doing stuff, and the story is always, like visually there, right? And you have side stuff that's always tying into it. It's for games like this, it's one of the most important things that they could possibly do. And yeah, I agree. I think they've fallen off doing that recently.
Yeah, I think so too. I also think that, just kind of as a final thought, they really do need to sort of double down on the RPG side of this. That has a lot to do with this story and with the world. I think it's something they've moved away from a little bit. I think that's why we've seen that. New Vegas was phenomenal with factions. Every faction mattered. You could side with factions in towns. Towns could love you or hate you based on your actions. You might go there, get better prices or whatever. There was a lot of stuff that made the world feel like it was dynamic. The NCR could love you, but in doing so, Caesar's Legion would hate you and try and kill you on sight. Stuff like that. That stuff is very not gone, but it's diminished, I think, in recent titles. And that is that RPG choice element of like, hey, listen, you are in the wasteland. You're one of the only people left. What do you want to do? You want to be Mad Max? You want to go around and save everybody? Fine. You want to be like some kind of big leader? Fine, you do that. Oh, you want to just be an ass? Okay, fine. Just kill everybody. You can do that. That was what Fallout was. And there's still elements of it, but it just feels like they've gone away from that. So I really think they need to sort of reel it back in and realize what made the franchise so popular. Even the acting has been a little worse in the last couple games than it was in previous ones. And it's not just New Vegas. 3's the same way. I mean, bringing in Liam Neeson and all this stuff, they did a good job. It's just, I think Bethesda became complacent somewhere here years ago. And I think we did too, like the gaming community. There was an attitude that Bethesda couldn't do anything wrong until they started doing things wrong,
Yeah. Yep. No, I mean, that's kind of a thing that's hit the whole. I mean, I think Bethesda was kind of the pioneer of that, where they have a halo over them, right? And they can't do anything bad, and then they do, and everybody turns on them in literally like a day. Naughty Dog experienced what that's like to some people, and then recently we had CD Projekt Red, right, falling from grace. So Bethesda kind of pioneered that kind of thought, if they want to take anything from it.
Yeah, I think it's just something that developers and development studios need to realize, that you don't. We don't have all the answers either, by the way. I don't think Alex or I are saying that we're professional game developers and like we know much better than them and they suck or anything like that. It's just that you need to gauge what the fans want, why people bought into your franchise, what's so special about it, and what keeps them invested. And you need to build on that. You don't just do the same thing over and over again, but you expand it, you build on it, you do turns of it. You don't pivot away from it and then wonder what happened. And I think that's a bit of an issue we've seen recently with Fallout. These are the things that we think Fallout needs to change with whatever the next game is going to be. Is it going to be, just straight up Fallout 5? Maybe it will be a spin-off. But we really do think that Fallout needs to change in order to survive. Yes, it will sell, but after 76, they need to prove themselves. And how will they do that? We really think that these things would benefit the game and Bethesda. So anyway, Alex, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I had a very good time talking about this with you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and hopefully that I don't want to talk negative about Fallout. I'm sure if somebody saw this video, it's the first time they heard either of us. They're like, oh dear Jesus, these guys hate Fallout. No, we really do love it, and I think these are kind of just the tough love kind of videos where it's like going forward. If they listen, right? If they just basically fix some of the mistakes they've done in the past, they can make some really again like top tier kind of games that they had been doing for a long time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I just want the Fallout 3 / New Vegas era type writing back and RPG elements and all that stuff that people loved. So anyway, let us know what you think in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on Fallout? Are you a big fan? Are you not? What do you like about it? Did you like 76? If so, how? I played it a little more than Alex. I haven't played it a lot, mainly just because it's kind of repetitive, but I can still have fun on it. It's just not really the kind of thing I want to see from Fallout as a brand, but I'm interested in people who do like it and what you think, because that's the point. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoy it, you want to leave a like, subscribe, those things help us out a lot. We do also have our own Fortnite code DJAY123, which you can use to help support this channel. We do appreciate that very much. And we have our own store, CosmoBunny.shop, where we sell awesome handmade resin pieces. These are from repurposed comic books and manga. So these are manga and comics that are damaged. We take some of the pages, we preserve them, create something new out of them, a new piece of art for you, for your home. And we also do have as well handmade beaded jewelry over there that my wife Jill makes. You can use code DJAY123 for 10% off over there. And I did also want to mention that Alex's channels will also be in the description. He's a friend of mine, so if you want to check out his content and support him, that means a lot to me too. Thank you to all of those of you who have supported this channel and who continue to do so, and I look forward to making more videos over here. Have a fantastic day, and as always everyone, stay shway.